Welcome to the Culture Edit. Unique perspectives into the personal and professional lives of individuals at the helm of successful business, athletics, art, and design. Welcome to the Culture Edit, episode 52.
Wow.
So officially a full year.
52 weeks in a year.
Exactly.
Wow.
So big milestones. You got to celebrate the big milestones and the small milestones. But we're here on a Sunday recording the opening for an interview that we recorded on Friday with a very special guest. Very excited to introduce him. But before we get into that, a little recap of last week and the weekend. So yesterday we both tried to do Tucker, but we were too tired, so we cut that a little short. Even though we had no reason to be tired because we went to bed at 9. I think
we're tired from
much.
the week.
Maybe.
It's like a big mentally
taxing.
Yeah, mentally taxing week. I think that could have been it.
Yeah, but we're
still, fine today.
Yeah, great.
Sunday is good.
Exactly, great today. I went on a run. You went on a ride, and
did the airport inferno.
I did my Sweetwater loop back to Piedmont Park inferno.
So hot.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Might as well just be in Miami again.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep putting that out there.
Common theme.
But
at least you're consistent.
Yeah, but we had a really fun week last week. So we had the Panorama.
If everyone could think how often you hear this on the podcast, think about how often I hear that off the podcast.
But we had a really great week. On Thursday, we did the pizza ride, but it wasn't just a normal pizza ride that we do every Thursday. We had the Panorama Destination Everywhere van come to the office with Raylan Nuss, she's a professional cyclocross rider, but also she works for Panorama and does a lot of their activations around the country. So she's been
she's a very accomplished cyclocross rider,
yeah.
Which we don't know anything about cyclocross. And I told her that. I was like, I'm sorry, we don't know. But apparently there are a lot of folks that are big fans of cyclocross that were really impressed that Rayland came to Atlanta.
Yeah, she's the Pan American champion, I believe.
Yeah. Pan American is like continental champion.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
Like multiple nations.
I guess like Canada and the U.S. probably.
Mexico. Central America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people in Central America are doing cyclocross? At least not the places I've been to.
I don't know. That's a good question.
But it was a really fun event. We had a huge turnout. I mean, it's one of those things when you host events, some people are really like, you and Michael are really confident. You're like, there's gonna be so many people, and I'm always cautiously optimistic because I get really.
I say you're cautiously pessimistic.
Oh, thanks. I don't want to get my hopes up. It's got to be like a childhood thing or something. I'm scared of getting my hopes up. So
yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised at we had a lot of people show up to the start, and then we had tons of people. Just like our studio was packed with people after the ride, getting pizza and hanging out. It was really fun.
Yeah. Even though they were supposed to RSVP via Strava, a lot of people did not do that, but it's fine.
Yeah, so it was a great event, and we appreciate Panorama coming through Atlanta and including us in all of the activations you're doing around the country. So it was really fun. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. Thanks to everyone that came, and we've got more events, including 1 week from today, our big one.
Yeah, 129 on 29 for
so
no reason.
Think of all that's going on right now. You got the Tour de France. You got Wimbledon. You got Euro Cup. You got 129 and 29. Why'd you laugh?
No, I didn't. I wasn't going to laugh.
Yeah, so it's a big month, July.
Yeah.
You got the Olympics. Did I say the Olympics?
Yeah. No, you didn't.
Oh, you get the Olympics.
The
there
start
you go.
of the Olympics at the end of July. The end of July. We also interviewed a really exciting guest that will air before the Olympics starts. And spoiler alert, it's an Olympic athlete. So that's pretty exciting, too.
Yeah, we're going to save that for when the Olympics.
Yes. And then we have our client event in July as well, which is booked solid now. We had to cap it. So max capacity, all sold out.
Yeah, thanks for everyone that RSVP'd on that.
But keep a lookout for more Panorama activations throughout the rest of the year because we are going to continue to partner with them on different things. We're hoping to host some sort of like gravel event up in the mountains as well.
Yeah.
I think we need to wait for it to cool down, get a little cooler. October is probably going to be nice up in the mountains.
Well, 129 and 29 for no reason is official launch of the partnership with Panorama.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So thank you, Panorama, for agreeing to partner with us on that event and participate. We've got a lot of fun things that we're going to do. We're going to have some fun giveaways. And yeah, we'll probably have some more Glide pizza. Yeah, so subscribe to our newsletter because that all the details will be in the newsletter this Wednesday about the ride and what's going to happen. I do love that our guest today organizes some of the biggest and most complex cycling events in the world, and we told him about our event. I don't know if you picked up on that. I was like, we're going down we're going to stay on one road for 129 miles. He just kind of like blankly stared at me.
He's like, okay.
But that's kind of the whole point. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So do we want to get into who our guest is today?
Yeah, we have a guest today.
All right. So we have for those of you who have listened to this podcast for a while, you've heard us talk about Steamboat Springs that hosts one of our favorite cycling events ever called SBT Gravel, Steamboat Gravel. It's in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And it's truly an incredible event. I mean, it just is. We've gone every year for we've done past 2 years. This will be our third.
Yeah.
That's how much we love it. We're going back to the same place. The town is awesome. The routes are awesome. Micah and the team are awesome. So that gets us in who we're interviewing today. But Micah Rice is the director of Steamboat Gravel and a few other really big prominent races throughout the country. He's also the executive director of Pikes Peak Challenge, or Pikes Peak Apex Challenge. He's also the former vice president of national events for USA Cycling. He worked for USA Cycling for 8 years, so he was with them for a long time.
Yeah, and so I've known Micah for over 20 years. He was the owner and director sportif of a professional cycling team called Jittery Joes, which I think most people that have been following professional cycling for a long time remember Jittery Joes, kind of an iconic team. He lived in Athens. I think Micah and I probably met on a WBL. So we did a lot of like rides together. And then it's crazy, long story short, we were sponsoring an individual professional cyclist, Shannon Hutchinson, much like how we sponsor Michael Garrison. And Shannon raced.
When you say we, you mean at Aaron's?
Aaron's, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, the company I work for, but it was my program. And she won Athens Twilight. And I had a whole team of executives there, and it was a big deal, and everyone was going crazy and crying and hugging and everything. And so the president of one of the divisions at Aaron's said, I think we should have a whole team because I think there's something here for us to utilize when it comes to, employee engagement and camaraderie. We can do events. So I called up Micah and said, hey, we want to have a professional women's team. And this was in 2003, 2004. And he said, let's do it. And so we built a professional women's program, which was probably one of the more dominant ones for many years. So that's how Mike and I got to know each other 20 plus years ago. To watch his career. And he left Athens and went to work at USA Cycling in Colorado. And now he loves it out there, and we talk through that. But we also could talk through kind of what he does. I think this will be really interesting for people to hear like what goes into planning these huge events with 5,000 people going to them, and the business side of that, the logistics side of it. He gives us a little bit of inside scoop because they're changing the course this year for the first time ever. They have not released it, so everyone knows the course is changing. We just haven't seen it. No one's seen it.
I don't know what people know and what people don't know.
They've sent out multiple emails saying the course is changing. They've tried to describe it a little bit, but we go really deep on like what climbs in it, what climbs out. He gives us a description of the course, especially on the black course and the blue course. And so if you're going or you're interested, you definitely want to listen to this because
if you haven't trained at all like me, you definitely want to listen to this.
Then you're like, maybe I'll just downgrade the course I'm going to do because it sounds like it's pretty tough. So we're really, we've wanted to have Michael on for a long time because he's a good friend and he's also very entertaining. You're going to enjoy this, but also we want to make sure that it aligned with as we get ready for Steamboat. So a lot of people are getting ready for it, and it's going to be a really, really fun event. It's also a special event. We should say we need to make sure we comment that our friends and client Wahoo Fitness are the title sponsor of Steamboat Gravel, SBT Gravel, and that our friends at Ponder Mall are also a big sponsor. So it's there's a lot of interconnected things going on here for
It's a
us
lot
to.
of trails converging into one place.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a great event, but we'll get right into it. So without further ado, Micah Rice.
Well, welcome to the Culture Edit.
Wow,
I know,
you did
I'm
the
excited.
welcoming.
I did.
Usually Chad doesn't welcome anyone.
I've never welcomed anyone before, so you're a first here.
I feel special.
You should. It's a long time coming. I mean, we've talked about this for a long time for a variety of reasons, but we knew with the calendar rapidly approaching, and by the time this comes out on Monday, I think we'll be 30 days from Steamboat. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, it's coming up quick. I just was on a call earlier this week with the team, and we said 5 weeks to go, and everyone just kind of sat up a little straighter in their chairs, with the reality of this event coming in. So it's obviously one of the big ones on the calendar for our team, but yet for a lot of people out there as well. So we're definitely in it now.
Are you at that point where you're like, well, we've done everything we can do? At this point, it's going.
A lot of it, yes. You think about those things that you can move the needle on months out, and those are, things like, planning any new merchandise plans or, changing any courses or make any changes to the permits or, printing anything, for example.
Yeah.
And then when you get here within a month or so, then it's all just pre-planning. It's the little stuff, and all of the bigger stuff goes out the door. It's like, okay, we've got everything that we can work with. It's here in town or on its way, and now we just try to plug all the holes we can.
Yeah, I figured you get all the big stuff for those big events, and I've never put on a big event, but you remember the old days putting on a crit in Georgia. We're hoping to get the permit the day before, so it's got to be a different experience whenever you got a few thousand people coming, right?
It is, and it's a little bit different expectation. And it kind of depends on the event in terms of when permitting comes. I mean, most municipalities work on a different time frame than, say, a race promoter does. So in some situations, well, I mean, I'll tell you for SBT, we work on a very early time frame. So we open our registration in December for the lottery. And by mid-December, by the time we get to Christmas, everybody knows if they're in or out.
Yeah.
They've paid their entry fee, and we're rolling. The earliest we've ever gotten our permit from Rapp County is March.
Okay.
So we've already completely sold our event out, sold the sponsors, made all the plans before we actually get our permit from the city or the county in that situation. Now, trust me, the city and the county are along for the ride on all of the conversations before then.
Yeah.
So, it's never like, well, turn in your permit, we'll see if we approve it or not. It's never that kind of conversation. It's a, hey, we're planning on making this change. We'd like to go down this road this time, or we might need some more police officers over here. Does that sound okay? Or we've got this activation in this city park that we'd like to do. What does that look like? Is the city okay with that? And have parks weigh in. So all of those conversations are happening, well before the event. But sometimes the final sign off doesn't come until much closer to the event. And as I said, March is the earliest we've gotten. We've gotten much closer to the event than that in some situations.
So you're confident, but there's got to be still a level of stress, a little bit until you get that stamp of approval.
Absolutely, and the stress just as it gets closer and closer, goes up and up. But it's all about having really strong communication with your partners, strong communication with your participants, and very good relationships and conversations with your land managers and your local municipalities. So, and Steamboat this year has been a little even more difficult because there was some big conversations out in the county about kind of use of some of the roads and some of the residents that weren't super happy about the race coming through. So
Yeah.
we've done way more work than normal this year with trying to communicate with residents and some of the ranching community out there in Routt County, and trying to put some of the fears to rest and some of the crazy rumors that were going around that weren't true and try to correct those and then also just trying to create better relationships with the people that we're all gonna ride bikes by on August 18th. So we've done a lot more outreach. Even last night, had another community gathering in Hayden, just outside of, just to kind of reach some of those people that are outside of Steamboat Springs.
Yeah.
So a lot of work done on that this year, and that's something that all races and events should be thinking about when they start thinking about the kind of the growth. I mean, this is an event that's grown so quickly over the last several years that you've got to be thinking about how that really affects your rural residents and everybody else in town.
Yeah. So how are the ranchers feeling? Are we good? They're feeling better now? Yeah.
Some of them are happy and content and have appreciated the outreach, and some are not. And we continue to have those conversations. As I said, we had some outreach last night at an in-person meeting in Hayden. This afternoon, I'll jump on a conference call with several ranchers that we've planned on talking to that are on a few of our new roads that we haven't been down before. As you know, we made some big changes to the courses. I can't wait to show these guys to you. It's going to be they're awesome.
Yeah. I definitely want to get back to that. I want to talk about
The
that.
courses are going to be great this year. But again, you start changing courses, that starts affecting different people at different times, and so part of that is just really making sure you've communicated properly.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine.
My favorite thing about the race is the free range cattle. Like, because they're so cute, even though they're giant. But I tell people all the time, I'm like, I've never been anywhere in the country where there's just free range cattle with no fences, no, like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few races that have that, but yeah, I mean, we are out in ranching country. I mean, Steamboat Springs is, kind of that ski mountain town, with, when you're kind of in town, it kind of feels more like the mountain towns that you hear about, like Vail and Aspen and stuff like that. Steamboat Springs is a few years behind some of those, but you get out into the rural landscape and it's truly, a ranching community. And some of the things that affect those ranching communities have been happening over years. We talk about the bike race, but there's other things that are affecting that community in ways that don't have anything to do with us. I mean, some of the reintegration of the wolves, for example.
Yeah.
We all voted on that as Colorado residents just a few years ago. And we're like, oh, yeah, wolves, cool. Yeah, I'm going to click yes on that box, and then it's like you don't really think about how that affects the ranching community out in rural Colorado.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're losing animals and things like that. So, we all have effects on that community through recreational use and other use as well that are really important when we're kind of thinking about these big events.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and the one thing, what I've liked about the message from SBT this year is like really putting it back on the riders, because I see it. I mean, obviously we've gone to Steamboat the last few years, and even at gravel races, like I have a theory on this actually, and I don't know if you want to comment on it, but because gravel races invite all like folks from all different like backgrounds and disciplines, like you've got like road racers, you got mountain bikers, you got gravel folks, you got people that don't ride in groups. There's a lot of people that don't ride in groups, and then all of a sudden they're in this environment, you don't have like the normal social cues and norms of like doing those events, like if you're not used to it. And so I think that's where you can get into trouble, where people that aren't like just throwing trash, right? They're like, oh, someone will pick this up. But like, you don't realize like, actually, no one's ever going to come pick this up. Like you've got to just not do that, because that's what's going to make people locally get really angry.
Yeah, I mean, there's always complaints. I mean, these are people that kind of see some of these actions and activities, throwing trash or deciding you're just going to pull over and pee in someone's yard. I mean, those are things that cyclists do without thinking sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whoa, hold on a second. You know, let's remember where we are and that the fact that we're guests here, and we have to be careful about that. Obviously, we have a huge trash cleanup on Monday morning. We scrape every mile of the course and make sure that, you know, that trash is out, but it's still there on Sunday afternoon in many cases. So we have to think about those things. And absolutely, the riders really need to take responsibility for that. And that's been a big, as you noticed, a big part of that messaging that we've put out there this year. And it's important just as a sport, as participants in the sport, we really think about our actions and make sure that we're all being ambassadors of cycling. Cyclists get enough hate as it is. We don't need to add to that.
Exactly. My favorite part of your campaign is the video. And I know I text you this, how it was like this really nice production video, and like all of you had a nice part in it. And then they turn to Micah, and Micah gets the please don't pee on the roads. Like, how did that go down? Were they like, all right, here's the script, Micah, here's your
I feel like they were punking you.
I feel like Amy gave that to me because she didn't want to say it. The race director, we have this joke within Steamboat Gravel that that Micah's title is the answer is no. That's my title. Like, if you actually look at my little placard that I have, the last couple of years, it doesn't say, you know, race director or anything like that. It just says the answer is no. So I always get the bad guy stuff, and everyone else was kind of like, oh, you know, this is fun, and everyone's having a good time, and what a great experience. And then Micah's job is to just like be that soul crushing no. That's not an option here, you know. So of course Amy gives me that role in the video as well. Very, very, very proud to be that part.
You should have a T-shirt for race day. So like whenever everyone's going to Amy, like, can we do this? Can we do this? And like, she can just go talk to Micah, and your T-shirt will say the answer is no.
Exactly.
That's a good idea.
It's right there, so everyone knows that's my answer. And I'm always, you know, I'm the person, of course, that gets up for the pre-race meeting the day before and kind of lays down the rules as well. So I'm kind of known as the rules guy, which I've just had to go ahead and embrace.
What is the craziest like race weekend request you've got? Is there one?
Like from a cyclist?
Yeah, like from a participant.
I don't think we've necessarily got any crazy ones. I think that you definitely have people that are totally fine with rolling with whatever. They're like, oh, is there water out there? Awesome. I'm gonna be fine. You guys are providing water, then I can pack it in and I'm gonna have an awesome time. Really, you know, low needs sort of folks. But then you also have your folks that are like, okay, I need to send a person out there because I need a certain bottle of some special, you know, stuff that you can't buy anywhere. I need it at mile, you know, 38, and there's no other way to do this. Like, what do I need to do to send this person out there and get that done? And it's just like, it's not really how it works, right? It's there are races that probably do allow that sort of thing, and you can just kind of go out there and have a person meet up with you for that exact thing that you need at this exact time. But, you know, our messaging is maybe a little bit more old school, which is, you can't get any help on the course. Yeah. Everyone is the same. Whether you're a top pro, whether you're a Keegan Swenson, or whether you're that first time rider who's just like hoping to finish the 37-mile version, everybody starts on that equal ground in terms of support out on course. You know, we've got great aid stations. They come every 15 to to 20 miles or so. We've got a wide array of things, including, things from sponsors with bars, gels, liquids, all kinds of food. You're going to be fine. But that's the same whether you're a first-time rider that's just like zipped up here by yourself, or if you're a Keegan Swinson who showed up with, a sommelier and a videographer and, three more team members that are out there to help. You've still got to pack it in if you want something special. So we do have to say no to those people that really want that specific thing at a specific time.
And I think that's the best way to do it too, because otherwise it's just it takes the fun out. I mean, I know like everyone like pokes fun at like the spirit of gravel now, which I don't know why, because I feel like the spirit of gravel really is like true. It is great, but I think that's part of it is like the responsibility for yourself, because that's part of being an athlete is the ability to actually plan for yourself and be able to do all those things. And the funny story. I don't know if I think we told you this story about Keegan, but his first year that he won Steamboat, was it 20 was that
21
2021
or 22?
Probably 22.
Well,
yeah, I'm trying to remember now. Was it? No, 2021 was Alex House.
It was
I think it's
22. It was 22. It was the first year we came.
And so 22, he's
Yeah.
won it twice in a row
Yeah.
now, 22 and 23.
Yes. So he, again, like, and he was already like famous in many like mountain bike world, like that whole world and everything. But we had a friend that came with us, and he parked his RV next to Keegan's truck, which he didn't know was his truck at the time. And so after the race, he's back at his RV. He's like hanging out, and I think
Our friend.
our
Was that
friend,
guy?
and I think Keegan maybe went over and was like, it was when it was raining really bad. And maybe he like asked for something, and so they were like, "Hey, do you want to like get out of the rain and come in here?" And so our friend Jeff goes, "Oh yeah, like how'd it go out there?" Like not knowing, and he goes,
How'd you do?
"How'd you do?" He's like, "Yeah, I mean, I kind of won it." And, like was so humble, and so Jeff was like, "Wait, we have to get a selfie. We have to get a picture together." Like made his whole like Steamboat kind of meeting and hanging out with the winner. But he was so nice. It was just funny how to see someone kind of go through like these different stages really quickly with such success, and now he's like traveling with a whole team of people is really cool to see.
Yeah, he was just sleeping in the back of his truck that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, great guy. I mean, he was one of the people that year that did the double. So the Leadville 100 on Saturday, and then the Steamboat Black Course on Sunday. So he was parked right there by your friend Jeff because he had finished Leadville on, probably on Saturday afternoon, gone through awards, jumped in the vehicle, probably got in and on Saturday evening, probably reasonably late, got as much sleep as he could in his RV, and then woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to race Steamboat that morning. And so that was back when we had the lead boat and the double. So he won both that year.
That is
He won the
crazy.
Leadville 100 mountain bike race, turned around, and then won SBT Black Course. So pretty
Incredible.
amazing.
Incredible.
And still evidently with enough energy to hang out with Jeff and get a selfie. So
Exactly.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, really great.
So talk to us about course planning. Like I'm interested. I know lots of people are probably interested, like especially with Steamboat. It's like so beautiful. If you haven't been, I mean, it's just like the roads, when you think about gravel roads, especially our listeners in Georgia, is nothing like the crap we ride on here. It's so rocky and hard. It is truly beautiful, and you've got so many options. Like, how do you guys like walk us through how you go through the process of thinking this will be the course, this is the loop we'll do, here's the climb that we'll have? Like, how does that go down, especially now that you've changed it up a little bit?
yeah, and just to be clear, the race was started in 2019. So if you really think about that, how big this event is, 2019 was the first year.
Wow.
It just seems like a few years ago.
Yeah.
2020, there was no event because of the pandemic, so everything was kind of deferred to the next year. I was hired in January of 21 to prepare for the 2021 event. So I missed the first year that it happened. And so when I joined the team in 21, the courses were already set. So those were courses that had been built for the 2019 event that had basically been slightly tweaked and moved into 2021. We did use those basic courses 21, 22, and 23. And with the growth of the event, and we just kind of got to the point where we realized the the front group was traveling a lot faster than normal than it was from the beginning when it was just kind of a tour.
Yeah.
Still a race in 2019, but a lot more people that were just touring, uh, and about 1,500 people in 2019, which is still for a first year event, pretty massive. Uh, but now that we're capped at 3,000 and we allow 3,000 people in through the lottery system, um, we and the front groups are getting faster in both the black course and the blue course. They're both getting faster. Those groups at the front are getting larger. We've realized that we've kind of started to outgrow some of those courses that we had used earlier. So we really started looking at what we could do to get out of town a little faster and start spreading riders over um, areas that were a little less populated. So fewer driveways, fewer residences. How do we get out into the county and then kind of into the mountains a little bit faster and easier than we have in the past? So that does two things. First of all, it creates a really good experience for riders because we're getting out there. It feels like a little bit more of an adventure. I think you're going to see the new courses feeling like you're kind of out there in the mountains a little bit more.
Yeah.
And a little bit farther away from the hustle and bustle of Steamboat Springs. But it also means that we're going to have less impact on the community out there in Route County. So we're going to ride, we'll kind of be out of some of those more congested, residence areas earlier in the day. We've got fewer people, just kind of a little bit easier pass over State Road 40, which is kind of the busiest road in the area, and just kind of spread out our courses a little bit better so that we just have a little bit less impact. It's a little bit easier for the residents to drive on those roads. I mean, we all know this is not the Tour de France with a closed course and a moving peloton. These are open roads.
Yeah.
Like pretty much all gravel events. These are open roads. People live on them. People are work on them through agricultural means. They're getting to work and back. They're getting their kids to school and back. Maybe not on the weekend, but they might, still have appointments and stuff they need to do. And there's Sunday church, go down the list of things that people are doing. So we try to create courses, with that dual thought process, less impact on that local community, but an amazing experience for the cyclist that is going to come join us for Steamboat Gravel. So that's kind of how it starts when you start thinking about that.
Yeah.
And then you start to explore. I do I do Steamboat Gravel obviously, but I'm involved in several other events that I help kind of create courses. It's something that I absolutely love doing. It is amazing what you can do with Google Earth and also some Strava heat maps.
Yeah.
Between those two things, you can really kind of find some pretty amazing stuff that's out there in those rural areas. So I start to kind of get to work using Google Earth and Strava heat maps to see where other people are riding, other locals are riding, as well as, what do some of these roads look like? I do similar things for the Pikes Peak Apex, which is the mountain bike race that I run here in Colorado Springs. I'm working on a project for Lifetime, where I'm working on some courses and building some courses out on the East Coast for a Lifetime project, which I can't talk about too much right now, but you'll hear more about it in the months to come.
You can tell us. We won't tell anyone.
Okay, don't tell anybody. Just keep it a secret, just between the three of us here.
Right.
But but being able to kind of build those courses and then after they're kind of built, I got like this is option, this is an option. If that looks bad, I can go over here. And then it's a matter of going and getting eyes on it. Um, Ideally, eyes on it on the bike, because then you get to really feel what some of those climbs feel like. Um, and what some of those things look like. You run into stuff that that you can't tell what it really looks like on Google Earth. It's like, oh, okay, yep, those people were riding this on that Strava heat map, but I didn't realize that they were, hopping this fence into private property,
Right.
for
Right.
example.
Right.
And so getting on the ground and taking a look at that is kind of that next step to like making sure that you're not doing anything illegal, not actually trespassing in certain situations, but also sometimes you can't tell what some of those climbs might look like. And it's like, oh, this looks like a beautiful double track climb on Google Earth. And then you get there and you're like, no, this is impossible.
Yeah.
You can't even ride this. Uh, so then kind of checking that out and understanding that piece. Sometimes it's a lot of talking with different people and bouncing things off of locals. Um, you know, Again, I live about 3.5 hours from Steamboat Springs, and I get up there probably every 6 weeks, and I can go kind of check things out, either drive or ride stuff. But obviously, Amy Charity lives there. There's other cyclists that we know in the community that live there. Um, this year, I bounced a ton of stuff off of uh, the CEO of Moots. Moots Cycles, is based there in Steamboat, and
Yeah.
CEO goes and rides all the time. And so I jumped on with him and started talking about, what do you think about this climb and that climb? Do you think that's doable over there? And so being able to kind of take those local experts and being able to bounce stuff off of them is also super valuable as well.
Yeah, very cool. So you're not just driving it; you're trying to experience it too. Because I'm sure driving, you're like, oh, this climb isn't that bad. Uh, that's what we always think about. Yeah.
Well,
So
we
this climb isn't
No,
that bad.
you have to ride it. I actually built these courses last October. So, and I went and did some riding before the snow flew in the fall of 2023.
Okay.
And so, um, we've built these courses and we've started to share them with the county and the city last fall, but we've kept them completely quiet and only tried to share them locally with some people to bounce some of that stuff off of. But this is stuff that we've been working on for many months, not something that we just like whipped together last month to get ready for the race in August.
So these are Micah's courses. So if we don't like these, shoot him a DM on Instagram. You can send him an email.
that's one thing I feel like about heat maps that Strava needs to implement is the ability to rate the heat map.
Yeah.
Because we've gone into
Sure.
some situations out in Moab where it looked like there was like a couple guys just like doing the same route every weekend. We're like, oh, okay, like it seems okay, and they're on gravel bikes.
Gravel, supposedly.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
I still don't believe it. And we go to do it, and it was the closest to dying I thought I would ever come. I mean, it was the most insane, like just a 8-mile sand trap through the middle of the state park in the heat with like mountain lion. It was crazy. So I'm like, why can't we rate that? Give the heat map a rating.
I will
Sure.
do that like with my routes because a lot of people in Atlanta steal my routes because I'm always exploring them. But I will put on there, do not use this route if it's like if I get into a bad situation. I
Yeah.
did that last weekend too. Actually.
It's easy to do in North Georgia too. Like there's some
Yeah.
crazy, like it doesn't look like it's that bad. Then all of a sudden it's like huge boulders and just craziness, but you can't tell because maybe
Yeah.
someone took their downhill bike on it.
Very true. You have to be there and kind of see them in person. And I found it's actually kind of good for me because while I am kind of working in the sport of cycling and kind of, running events and consulting with many groups, I don't really race anymore. I used to race. I used to do a lot of events and I've kind of stopped doing that. But what I've found is on these site visits, For example, this lifetime project, I was finding I was like going on like 4 hour mountain bike rides with like the locals that were like really knew what they were doing. And I'm like having to train for site visits now, which is great. It kind of forces me to kind of stay in shape and make sure my skills are up on the mountain bike or the gravel bike. But it's kind of kept me in shape in knowing that I'm going to get thrown into some crazy mess with some locals that totally know what they're doing for 4 or 5 hours. I got to prepare for that.
You can't be the event guy that can't keep up that they're waiting on the whole time.
Exactly. And I'm just still too proud to break out the e-bike. So eventually I won't be. I'll just own it. But at this point, I've got to do it on a regular bike.
Exactly. So on the course, are we going out the same way, like on the paved road? Like, are we heading out that same way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still headed out the same way. All courses will head out of town and come back into town exactly the same way as we had. So you'll still get that final climb up to that chamois butter hill party
Yeah.
and the descent down Cow Creek where you probably saw the cows.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Cow Creek is a little chunky and kind of pretty fun there.
Yeah.
Super fun.
And then we'll always go out kind of around the airport, just like we did last year, where we kind of go up on that paved climb right out of town, and then we take that left-hand turn on 44. So all courses will do that again.
Okay. Are we keeping Nikki's favorite part, the cornfield?
Oh my gosh.
The cornfield.
Can you tell us? Or are we getting into things
Well,
you can't
I
say?
don't mind telling you a few things,
Okay.
but I'm gonna have to break it to you. We do not have the field in play.
My heart
You just made
is,
her so happy.
My heart is broken. I will
I'm
never.
sorry. I'm sorry.
The cornfield is brutal.
Oh, it is like it rattles you so bad, and I'm like, granted,
Yeah.
I don't ride mountain bikes, so maybe people are like flying by me that are just used to like being beat to death. But like people were just going by, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even like, what is happening?
No. So just as a quick overview for people, and it won't be long before these are all revealed. We're looking at an August 1st reveal for all courses. But the blue course this year will still be right at 100 miles. That's what it has been in the past. However, it does have almost 1,000 more feet of climbing.
Ooh.
And so you're going to see that blue course. It still kind of has, for the most part, that champagne gravel that we always advertise and Steamboat, just amazing, mostly wide gravel roads that kind of is part of that SBT brand. But you're going to definitely see some new ones that we've never been on, and kind of a little exploration of some areas that we haven't gone to. If you choose the black course, we're coming from a course that was at one point 142 miles, and we're dropping that to 125.
Okay.
But another 1,000 feet of climbing on top of what we've done in the past. So we had over 9,000 feet of climbing. Now we're looking at just over 10,000 feet of climbing.
Wow.
And that's a big day. So yes, mileage a little bit less, but the black course is gonna maybe, like, for some of it, stray away from a little bit of the champagne gravel. So if you want the champagne gravel, stick with the blue.
Yeah.
And by the way, you still have a few days to change your course. I think on Monday, is Monday the deadline?
Yeah.
Maybe
The 15th, Monday, the day this will come out. So yeah, this is
Yeah,
good timing.
so you have a little bit of time to change if you want to kind of stick with that, that SBT brand. But the black course this year has got a couple of climbs, especially one that I'm thinking about that comes reasonably early. That is a little more technical, a little more steep. It's a 5 mile climb that brings you up about 1,200 feet in that 5 miles, and it's a little less used.
Okay.
And takes you to some areas that are almost two track, that are on some kind of ranching roads that are a little bit less used and a little less maintained. It's an absolutely amazing adventure, and if you've got the fitness to do it, I do strongly recommend you do it. But just know um, you're definitely in for a big day on the black course.
Okay. So that means that last 20-mile climb that used to be on the black course is gone. We're not doing that anymore.
That long one, and then you go back down into Oak Creek and come
Exactly.
back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can confirm you're not going up that climb,
Okay. Good.
but we've replaced it with a climb that I would say is um, a little bit more meandering up and down, but as difficult
Okay. All right.
and as late in the race.
Okay. All right. That was yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, I'm signed up for black now. I guess I got 30 days to train, so we'll see how that goes.
I already changed my registration. I'm just gonna do the 56 mile because I've done the 100 the past 2 years and had a blast. But the past 2 years, I've actually been able to ride my gravel bike. I have not ridden my gravel bike since last Steamboat, so I was like, it's probably a good idea to just have fun and do the 60-mile one. And then
Nikki's a runner now, by the way, Micah.
I spent.
That's good too.
It takes up a lot less time in the morning before work, so it's just trying to fit something in.
Yeah.
Well, the 56 mile, I will say, is probably even a little bit easier than the 60 mile was last year. It's about 55, 56% gravel. So there's some it's a little bit more asphalt on that red course than there was last year. But trust me, some beautiful rolling hills outside of town that you won't be upset about riding. I can promise you that. But the red course, I would say, got a little easier, while the black and blue courses got a little harder.
Good. That's what I love to hear. I'm gonna have fun this year.
She wants to have fun.
I just want to have
That's
fun.
weird.
I was telling Chad, I was like, I was always so stressed about like riding the day before and the day after, because the day before you don't want to like tire yourself out, and the day after you're too tired to ride. And so, or at least for me. So I was like, now I'll be able to ride like all the days. It'll be great.
Oh, last night she was like, you know what? Maybe after I'm finished, I'll just ride reverse on the course.
Because I was like, I can get
take a picture or
like
something.
take the
I don't
camera and
know.
get pictures.
Like, okay, we'll see. You'll
I
have a
love it.
margarita. There won't be any riding afterwards, but we'll see.
Yeah, and we have a couple people on the team that they've never done a gravel race before. So this is the first gravel race they've ever. So I'm gonna ride with them. So it'll be a good time because it'll be like, just experiencing it all.
Red course is a perfect intro to gravel, but still get some mileage in because you get a little road riding in.
Exactly.
So you're gonna hit some great roads, and you'll be well taken care of out there. It'll be beautiful.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm excited.
Anything else on Steamboat new we can expect? Anything expo wise or outside of any of that?
Well, the expo continues to be super popular.
Yeah.
I mean, we really sold out our space in downtown Steamboat, so it's bigger and better than ever. We are going to continue on with our Friday evening hill climb. I don't know if you guys attended that last year, but
We missed
that's
it, but we heard it was
fun
awesome.
time.
We're going this year
It's-
though.
Yeah.
It's nuts. If you remember, the winner of the costume contest last year was Valtteri Bottas,
Right.
who won his weight in beer. What was his prize?
It's amazing.
And so rumor has it that Valtteri's going to go even bigger this year on his costume. So
Wow.
we're gonna see what happens. So if you want to come down there and hang out, we get a lot of pros and other celebrity type folks that join us on that Friday hill climb, and we've got a beer garden. It's always a good time.
Awesome.
And then also, I think that we're concentrating a little bit more on kind of our finish line party. Again, thanks to Wahoo, who was our presenting sponsor for the event. They put a little bit more time and effort in helping us out into kind of creating a kind of a bigger kind of a finisher party, and try to welcome in those last finishers, which come in, probably around 8 o'clock, just as it's getting dark. 8:30. Our last finisher last year came in at 8:29. Literally beat the time cut by 1 minute.
Wow.
To get a time to finish. And it's pretty dark at 8:30. So our rule is you got to be in by 8:30, or you got to get in the van. And so we really kind of want to celebrate, that end of the group, just as similar to celebrating the winner of the pro race. And, that's part of kind of that culture and ethos of Steamboat Gravel, is really kind of celebrating everybody, no matter what their goals were for the day.
That's awesome. Well, thank you to our friends Atlanta-based Wahoo, and also client of Niche, and I know a lot of them listen to this podcast, so we're excited about them stepping up the after party there.
I need JP to be ready with champagne as I come through the finish line. So JP, I know you're listening.
Person, we'll have champagne, so not a problem.
Maybe that's my strategy. I'll just keep looping around until 8:30. And then try to roll through.
There you go.
Very cool.
I will say, though, like out of all the expos, because we've been to a lot of running expos this year, too, Steamboat by far has the best expo of any cycling event or running event. It's just, it just feels more like a festival than an expo. And I think that's what I really like about it, because it just, I don't know, you see so many people and it's very friendly and very energetic.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that are really special about Steamboat, and some of them are kind of hard to put your finger on exactly what the secret sauce is. But what we do know is that Steamboat Springs, just as a destination, is just fantastic. I mean, we're blessed with just amazing gravel roads to ride on just outside of town, which is obviously a huge part of it, is just having an amazing course. But having that expo, you're talking about kind of that feel of the expo, which is right there on Yampa Street. We closed down Yampa Street for like 3 days. We're right there by the river. And so it does have a kind of a special mountain town, river town, cycling town feel, and people really enjoy it. And we do a lot of programming, whether that be with some of our nonprofits like Ride for Racial Justice and All Bodies on Bikes and groups like that who have kind of got their programming going. We're always trying to do, like pro panels or whatever we got going on stage. We're always trying to kind of feed into the things that are happening there and kind of add to that experience for that rider. We know a lot of people that aren't even signed up for the race. They just come in to hang out, see the expo, maybe do a shakeout ride, and they might even leave before the race even happens, just because they get kind of to experience a little bit more of that community and culture. You don't have to be signed up for the race to kind of enjoy that. It's open to everybody, down there on Yampa Street. So yeah, we're really happy about how that feels too.
So in addition to Steamboat, you mentioned Pikes Peak Apex, which is a mountain bike event. You put on when is that?
That is in June.
So that happened already.
Yep. June 7 to 9. It's a 3-day mountain bike stage race. So we have a time trial, actually an 11-mile mountain bike time trial, which is kind of unique. That's in an in-town park here.
Sounds painful.
This year we did our second stage down in Canyon City, which is just under an hour drive. We got some amazing riding down there in Canyon City in Fremont County. That's kind of almost a deserty backcountry ride. And then on our last day, we do a great ride up here in Cheyenne Canyon, some pretty famous trails up here just on the west side of Colorado Springs for our final day. So that's a really fun event that we got going on in June.
I was going to say, we have been talking about and flirting with getting mountain bikes for couple of years now, but if we pull the trigger, we're going to come to that for sure.
The hard thing in Atlanta, as you know, is just in Atlanta, there's not a lot of mountain bike options or gravel options. So you really have to like pack your stuff up and go up north or go a little bit south. But my parents now live full time in the mountains. So we're like, oh, we can leave the mountain bikes at their place. They're in Helen. Mm-hmm. So we're like, that's perfect. And you can just ride straight out the door.
Not in Helen, Mike. I know what you're thinking. They're actually on top of Trey Mountain. They don't live in Helen. They're not in the German.
They're not like wearing German hats and drinking beer out of steins or anything.
I mean, maybe for Oktoberfest. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So then you've got the Top Secret Lifetime event, and you've got Finland Gravel you just did in June too, right? Is that
Yeah, and
Finland?
I wasn't involved with that in
Oh,
2024.
okay.
I was asked to kind of build the bones of that for 2023. So I worked on that for I guess about 10 months, and helped build the operations team there in Lahti, Finland, did a couple of site visits, worked with the folks there. The majority of that team that runs that event like is used to running like Nordic ski races. They haven't really run cycling events, but we've got a couple of cyclists that are there in Lahti that know what they're doing. And of course, you can lean on people like Valtteri Bottas, he's part owner of that event to kind of cut through a lot of the red tape that we needed to. And so I was involved in 2023 on that. And then that operations team was in place and I wasn't needed for 2024. So I didn't have to make that trip this year.
Okay. So then what are the other, is there other events that you're
Yeah, I've got
working
a
on?
March event that I ran this year. It was a brand new event down just south of Amarillo, Texas, called Valley of Tears.
Oh,
So that's a
it's
fun
a good
gravel
name.
cycling event. Yeah, it's good. It was good. That was a fun gravel cycling event. It's an early season one in March. Uh, it's, was a beautiful day kind of in the 50s and low 60s down there in the panhandle of Texas. It is hosted in the town of Turkey. So you can look Turkey up on a map if you want. It's population 314 people.
Wow.
And it is truly a rural Texas event, but amazing, amazing ride out there, utilizing some old rail trails on the Cap Rock uh, trail, as well as just some really cool, like red dirt rolling roads just outside of Turkey. Um, and we actually, if you take a look at our Instagram, Valley of Tears Gravel, or our website, you can kind of see some video from that. Keegan came and did win that without too much trouble.
Yeah.
But we've always got some surprises there at that event. This year we had a $26,000 prize purse, but the owners of the event doubled it on the line. So they with 1 minute to go in the race, they said, okay, it's now
Wow.
$52,000. Go.
That's
And
amazing.
so we're talking about adding a a gravel crit on Friday night this next year,
Okay.
which is going to be a ton of fun. Turkey, Texas has one paved road, so we can just go one block over and race a gravel crit kind of around the Hotel Turkey is one of our, kind of one of our partners there in town. There is a hotel in town. They have 19 rooms. I'm sure it's already sold out. Uh, but uh, but we so that's kind of a really interesting experience. Everyone kind of shows up for the van life because there's tons of RV parking and RV areas there, and that's a great event. It's one to check out for sure. So valleyoftearsgravel.com is that one.
A gravel crit, you just got Michael Garrison's attention.
Yeah,
It's
Okay.
like dream event there,
I know.
gravel crit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had this conversation with Keegan, and he was beyond excited. Of course, his teammate Tobin was like, "Can you put like barriers in it so it's like cyclocross style?" Like
Oh,
he was trying to push me in that direction, and
no.
I was like, "Oh, I don't know. We'll talk about that." But that one will be interesting and more built for spectators than probably all comers. It's gonna probably would be a kind of pro elite fields only
Yeah.
for men and women on that, but with a hell of a beer garden and barbecue going on around it so that everyone else can still have a great time.
That's good. We don't want to overload the turkey hospital system with broken
With
collarbones by
with
having
cat 5 gravel crit racers.
Yeah, gravel crit 600 starters go.
And we doubled the
for
purse.
50,000.
Well, it's time. Here's the thing about gravel. I mean, and you kind of mentioned the whole spirit of gravel. It's everything's so different. I mean, the spirit is so entrepreneurship. It's just like it's different. Everyone can do their own thing. there's no true rules surrounding it, so you can kind of pick your own rules and do whatever you want. And everyone's trying different things. I mean, look at what Lifetime is doing this year with this separate men's and women's start and really trying to dig into that. Some people are, SBT is like, nope, it's all men and women together this year. But everyone's kind of watching what everyone else is doing and trying to, what does this look like and where is this sport going? And we're digging into gravel criteriums at Value Tiers. We're just going straight in, and we think that's the future.
I love it. It's very innovative.
Yeah. It's exciting.
So Tour de France time right now. I think about you watching the race. Is there any like thinking about the old days? Man, I wish I was back behind the wheel with the pro team, telling these guys what to do in the caravan. You miss the old days?
I do miss some of those old days. I saw a video the other day of a team that could kind of won the stage and kind of that inside the car camera.
Yeah.
And the team and the driver and the director and the mechanic just going nuts, when they just hear that their rider had won. And during that moment, I actually thought back to that time, the Jittery Joes days when Cesar won on top of Brasstown Bald.
Exactly.
And over the radio, it was, oh yeah, Grajales, Jittery Joes first, Lance Armstrong second, Jens Voigt third, or
Yeah.
it was like, holy cow, you kind of think back to those moments in the car where you just can't believe it, all the hard work is done. So I definitely relate to those moments that I'm seeing right now on the tour. So you definitely miss those times and those days. I've really enjoyed kind of digging into the off-road world. I was obviously part of the team side of things with Jittery Joes and Aaron's for many years, and then I spent 8 years running the events department at USA Cycling, but really kind of got burnt out on the road side of things for the most part. And so, when I left USA Cycling, I've really kind of concentrated on the off-road. And that started out, or Gran Fondo style stuff as well, but just kind of getting away a little bit from that road racing culture. But, I still look at the tour, of course, and get excited about road racing again.
Yeah, and because I don't think Nikki has any idea what you're talking about with Cesar, and a lot of our listeners won't either. Imagine at the height of Lance's power, right? Like this is like, was it 2004, right?
Yes, 04.
Biggest U.S. race, and that's back when Tour of Georgia was the biggest U.S. race, UCI race, and we had World Tour teams here. It was kind of crazy looking back. Like Cipollini was here, like we had all the big teams here. And the local team was Jittery Joes, which was Micah's team. Local rider, Cesar Grajales. And the hardest day, we actually finished on top of Brasstown Bald. So if you've ridden up Brasstown Bald, I'm not just talking about like the parking lot. I'm talking about the very top observation center, which Nikki's ridden up to.
I haven't ridden to it. We drove.
They raced up this thing.
Yeah.
It was insane, and the local guy and the local team won. So it was like a shock the world moment. It truly, truly was. It was so awesome.
I know it. Cesar's picture was on the front of La Gazzetta in Italy. I mean, it was just like it was a big deal. It was the only American race that Lance raced that year, and that was in the height of his career. And he had a full team: Hincapie, Ekimov, go down the list. It was a full U.S. Postal team, and then Jens Voigt racing as the team leader for CSC that year was right there in the mix as well. But to have this local guy, this Colombian climber who lived in Athens, Georgia, to win on top of Brasstown was a pretty big deal, and definitely one of those highlights of that part of my cycling career.
It was so cool. And like Cesar was such a nice guy, and like did the group rides, and like it's like crazy to think like back then, like it was just such a different era than it is today. So you miss Georgia?
I miss things about Georgia. I lived in Athens for about 24 years, and I enjoy Athens as kind of a cultural, college town where I went to the university.
Yeah.
I miss a lot of the people that I, still have relationships with in many ways. But let me tell you, I do not miss the heat and humidity.
Yeah.
I don't. And it's hard to get tired of, where I live here in Colorado Springs, looking at Pikes Peak every day. I mean, we still have snow up there on top of Pikes Peak, and just kind of being able to ride and be outdoors, whether it be hiking or cycling or whatever. Um, I would be pretty bummed to move away now from Colorado. But I love coming back and visiting all of my friends in Georgia. I continue to do that, of course.
Yeah. We're in the thick of the heat and humidity right now. So you remember what the summers are like here.
I do. I do.
Even worse.
Yeah.
I did want to mention real quick on the Jittery Joes thing. I forgot to mention when we went to Twilight this year. The next day we stayed there overnight because my sister lives in Athens now. But I went out on a ride with my friend, and I saw a guy wearing an old school Jittery Joes kit. I completely meant to like text you, but those kits still hold up. Like they're old, but they still the design still holds up. And I know you were very passionate about your kit design back in the day because you were kind of a.
That's right.
Yeah.
We owned the color orange domestically, and so that was a big push of ours. And of course, with Jittery Joe's coffee and the orange flame logo, we just went all in on the orange color. And I see those kits, they pop up on eBay once in a while, or I'll see one out and about on a group ride, even outside of Georgia, and it's like, oh, whoa, that guy's got a Jittery Joe's kit. I still have one of every year. Once in a while, I break one out for a bike ride here in Colorado.
White bibs? You wear the white bibs still?
I do not have the white bibs. I do have a pair of the special edition camo bibs and jersey. Yeah. So again, one of those Tour de Georgia stories. One year we broke out a full camo, orange camo kit.
Oh, wow.
For all the pros. In the middle of Tour de Georgia, I had to approve it through the commissaires first because they were getting a little worried about me breaking out a new kit in the middle of a stage race. That's a big no-no for the UCI. But a few cans of coffee, I smoothed it over with all the commissaires, and they only gave me a 200 Swiss franc fine for that. I was happy to take at the time, and so I still have one of those. Those are the rarest ones out there.
Yeah, those were I don't think they were for public consumption, right?
We did one sale of them. We did one run of them, and then they sold out right away, and then they were gone. We sold them at the event out of the coffee truck. So we as you remember, we had a coffee truck that served coffee and sold beans and mugs and everything else that followed the Tour of Georgia around to the expo, and we sold the limited edition kit there in the mobile coffee shop, and then it was gone. That was it.
That's good.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
We should need to sell limited edition niche kits.
Yeah, we've been thinking about that. Last thing, so we're putting on a little event next Sunday. Did you ever do the airport ride?
Oh yeah, did the airport ride. I remember silk sheets.
Yeah.
I remember a number of those.
So airport ride, you come back on Highway 29. You go out on Highway 29, come back.
Yep.
So, it was kind of like one of those things where everyone has ridden it, that part of 29 1,000 times, but you always thought maybe it was the end of the earth in Palmetto because no one ever went beyond that. So last year we decided we're going to do 129 miles on Highway 29.
There you go.
And we rode all the way down. Basically, you ride to LaGrange, you do a U-turn, and you come back. Last year we had a huge group. Did it in 5.5 hours. So we're doing it again. May become a annual thing. Might be something for you to think about. Training for.
Hours.
Yeah.
It was fast.
I got to train for that.
Yeah, I was 26, 27 miles an hour. It was fast.
But we keep our rule is no attacking. You keep it smooth. You keep it. The strong guys rotate at the front so we can do it in a good time.
Yeah.
I just know you like some inspiration, so I'm just thinking like next year if you want to think about this.
I need a goal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I need a goal. I would have to find a road bike. I actually don't own a road bike
Wow.
currently.
I got one.
Amazingly enough.
I got plenty you can ride.
Yeah.
We're the same size. You can ride. You can ride. Yeah, you'll have to come up with another excuse. I got a bike for you.
Oh, God, dang it. I'll find something, I'm sure. But yeah, it's always good to have that goal, right? I'll think through that.
Exactly. Well, I think thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, Steamboat is our favorite event.
That's the best way.
And you've got a new partner, our friends from Pas Normal, too. I think they're going to be there this year. Yeah.
Man, that's some good stuff that they make, huh?
Very
the
good.
Normal product is one of the best things I've ever put my hands on.
Yeah, well, we agree.
love it.
Well, good timing because we did an event with them last night here in our studio, and we had them
huge
here
hit.
with their van, their Destination Everywhere van. So it was really cool. So we're excited to see that they're part of Steamboat as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
They're a great partner.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate it. We'll see you in a month.
All right.
Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
That's me.